Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Sunday. Sunday fun day. How we doing? Good? Bad? Great? Okay? How's everyone doing? It's Sunday. It's the end or the beginning of the week, depending upon how you look at it. 57 days until the election. 57 days. Can you believe it? We got a lot of stuff to look at tonight. Dave ate too much for dinner. I'm sorry to hear that, Dave. Hey. Hey, how are you? I'm glad you're here. I know, 2 live streams in 2 days. Who am I? Oh. Hello from Seattle. Hi, 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 hi. Hey, everyone. Now it's all rolling in. Hi. How's everyone feeling? Thanks for being here, Cheshire Cat. Cheshire Cat. We got Nebraska in the house. Alyssa says, I'm channeling so much support for Kamala each and every day. She needs to feel not the weight of the world, but the support of the world behind her. Well, you know what I say? I say she has the expectation of the future, which is challenging, but she does have the strength of history behind her. Something to think about. Hi from Pittsburgh. We got Florida in the house. I did get the random colors back. And everyone type clap. Let's type clap. Type clap in the chat. Yeah, that's pretty cool. There we go. Yep. It's a real thing. It's a real live stream. Yeah. Clap. It's something Donald Trump may have had. Yeah, that Tim Miller video was, the Tim Miller thing is really, really great. I agree. So I got some stuff to go through tonight with you all. One, we got some JD Vance news. Not good for him. I've got some stuff on the polls. Jill Stein showed her whole bare ass. Not literally, but figuratively. We got a Melania Trump strange ass video, and then I don't know, would you guys want to sit and listen to like a 20-minute podcast? We're just trying something. We're trying stuff. I think I was listening and I was like, you know what? I think it might be good to listen on the live stream. Yeah, we can try it. If you guys think it's boring, you can always stop. It's The Atlantic and Applebaum. Oh, you like the music? I got more where that came from. All right, so, but first off, well, I don't have my New York hat. I do have my democracy hat. Does anyone else have their democracy hat? You can get one on KeithsDebateClub.com. KeithsDebateClub.com. You can get one, Julie, on KeithsDebateClub.com. All right. So we got 57 days until the election. Everyone seems to be pretty fired up. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to see you all here in the chat. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your claps. And now it's time for our annual roll call. Where is everyone watching from? I'll start it off. I am in Washington, D.C. We got Seattle, New Haven, Ozarks, Boston, Jackson, Michigan, Massachusetts, Oregon, Tennessee, New York City, Colorado, Nevada, Bay Area, rural Minnesota, I think that's right, New York City, Queens, Berlin, Germany, Pennsylvania, Denver, Orlando, Florida, Richmond, Arizona, San Jose, Wilmington, North Carolina, Australia, Italy, Texas, Ohio. It's always too fast. I can never. Cincinnati, my bed. I'm in my bedroom. Georgia, Tucson. Shout out to Orange County, California. Boo, 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 boo. Georgia, Ohio. We are across the world and across the country, mission focused. So let's get going, shall we? Here is the first thing I wanted to look at. Let's move you guys over here. Oops, that's me. That's the podcast I want to watch. All right. There we go. All right, JD Vance. Could it get worse for JD Vance? This is the first thing I saw today. Who swims with the shirt on? I mean, if you do, that's fine, I guess, but it's very strange. It's like it adds to I just think it adds to the whole vibe of him. Do you know what I mean? Like the man can't even he can't even. Oh my God, Kathleen, get the 10 memberships. Everyone, let's get some claps in the chat for Kathleen. Thank you so much, Kathleen. That's so nice of you. Gosh, what a great way to start off the chat or the live stream. I'm trying to fix something real fast. Okay. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay, I think that'll be good. Let's see if that's good. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Thank you. Roger says he wears that to hide his body. I mean, that's fine, I guess. But it's like a little, it's a little strange too, I think. You know? I mean, again, no shade to anyone who does that, but it is it's kind of like a weird move to me. I don't know. So the gift memberships are just given out randomly. Okay. Let's talk about this poll. Let's talk about this. Dave just gave $20. Thank you, Dave. I'm hoping the debate stage will be kept dirty so Kamala can mop the floor. I agree. All right, so the New York Times came out with this stupid poll. New York Times, Siena poll. And here it is. New poll suggests Harris's support has stalled after a euphoric August. Almost 30% of voters said they need to learn more of her. All right, so I'm not going to go into the specifics of I mean, it basically says nationally Donald Trump is beating her 48% to 47%, which is just not true. If you take an aggregate of the polling, this is where we are. I mean, that's still a toss-up. It's just outside of toss-up. She's obviously going to get the popular vote, and I love that no one even argues that she's going to get the popular vote. We all know she's going to get the popular vote, but it's just a matter of are the votes going to be in the wrong places? Oh my gosh. Peter Stewart. Peter is back donating. Let's get a round of applause to Peter gifting 20 memberships in the chat. Thank you so much, Peter. Wow. Thank you. That's really nice of you. Wow, my gosh. That's a lot of money. Thank you so much. Yeah, the Electoral College. I do think we'd have to like do something about that, but we unfortunately can't fix the Electoral College this November. So this is the actual average, and if you look at like who they spoke to in that New York Times poll, and it was they spoke to more Republicans, 2% more Republicans in that poll. So, and I think what I really wanted to say here is that okay, the news is supposed to report on the news, right? When they go out and pay for a poll, they ask leading questions to a select group of people. They get to pick who's in the poll, and then they create the poll just so they can then have headlines like this. Just so they can have headlines like this. It's not about finding out what's happening. It's about creating narratives and shifting public opinion and creating news, really. So I believe personally, reporters should be in the business of reporting on news. They should not be in the business on creating the news. And that's what these polls do. They make these polls so they can make these headlines. That's all it's about. And I'm sick of it. So it's all BS. I'll tell you what, no one knows who's going to win in November. One poll will not tell us. One poll tells us what 2,000 people they talk to think. That's it. That's it. All right. And then, all right, here. We got some Jill Stein news. Jill Stein liked a post or liked a comment encouraging Democrats to vote for Donald Trump. Roger, thank you so much for the one gifted membership. Thank you so much. So this comment says, the Dems need to be stopped. Either vote for Trump, or if you just can't, then vote green. Either way, this nonsense needs to stop. So she really gave away the whole game by doing this. I don't think she realizes that likes can be seen by everyone, because I don't know why else she would have done this, because she liked a comment that said either vote for Trump or vote for the Green Party. That is not a third party. If you are voting, if her whole opposition campaign has not been against Trump and Kamala Harris, it has been only against Kamala Harris. That is not a third party. That is an extension of the Trump campaign. And my hope is that people are aware of what she's doing this time, because this isn't the first time she's tried screwing over Democrats. Yikes, just got a MAGA ad during your live stream. Yeah, that happens. But I think the important thing is that means MAGA is paying for truthful reporting. Stein is as relevant as RFK to a degree, but low propensity voters was actually just a nice way of saying uninformed voters are more likely to vote for a third party than not. And so the fact that she's there could mean that someone who might have voted for Kamala and is easily persuaded and doesn't understand the full stakes of their vote, if there's John Ossoff won Georgia by 10,000 votes. It was, I believe that's 0.1%. Okay? So stuff like this can make the difference between Trump presidency or Kamala Harris if it is that close. Very scary. All right, Melania Trump. I'm just gonna play this. This shit is crazy. All right, I'm just gonna play it.
The 2020 election results changed our lives forever. It impacted our quality of life, cost of food, gasoline, safety, and even the geopolitical landscape. America is more divided today than ever before. It has become increasingly apparent that there are significant challenges to free speech, as demonstrated by the efforts to silence my husband.
Like, what the fuck is that? Thoughts? I know I just threw it a lot at you, so we can talk about that and the Jill Stein stuff. Like, what the fuck? Like, what is the book even about? I love that she thinks she's so fashion. She's so modern. It just comes across as like cheap. I mean, that video is literally like, I'm telling you right now, knowing video editing, that video cost like $100 to make. It was so bad. Yeah, who's the market for that book? You know? I also do love that, like, it's just like a font. Like, it looks like a joke. It looks like a funeral book. Yeah, I'll tell you what, they all are grifters. They all are grifters. Virginia says, she said it was going to be about lies that others have told about her. So in other words, it's going to be about refuting the truth that others have told about her, because she is a Trump after all. Oh, good looking out. The Rook won. It is Chanel, isn't it? It's Chanel. That's very Chanel. You're right. That's exactly what I was thinking. It feels like that. Huh. All right. Oh, what is this? Oh, all right. So this is back to the New York Times polling. I put it in the wrong spot, but we'll just talk about it now. This is Nate Cohn. This is their data analyst. He's the New York Times data analyst. So the reporting in the New York Times around the polling that they did to make news where there was no news, just to create headlines. Nate Cohn had this blurb on Twitter where he says, "We don't know whether it's random chance, shifts in attitudes, changes in response, or all three, but it's been a pretty wild month. Literally a new candidate. A 4-point swing is just 2 out of 100 people switching, or 4 people in and out of decided. It's not crazy." So that to me is like, oh, okay. So here's the really measured take online that only 82,000 people were served. Whereas the New York Times headline is very suggestive. New poll suggests Harris's support has stalled after a euphoric August. Like, no, this is actually the story. We don't know. We don't know. That is the story. Stalled. You wish. Wait until after Tuesday. Exactly. Exactly. Final buzzer. It merely suggests a suggestion. Exactly. They're just all. They just want it to feel as close as possible. Because if it's close as possible, people are anxious, and when people are anxious, they want to look at headlines. They want to get the news. They want to feel like they can have expert analysis. It sells ad space. It sells subscriptions. That's all this is about. It's what it's always been about. Kyle says, does it scare you that you don't know? Well, I don't think it scares me because I think I am doing what I can to help make sure Kamala Harris is the next president of the United States. And I think when you do, when you have a mission and you're working towards a goal, anxiety is kind of released a little bit because you at least feel like you have some sort of control. But I do think it's scary that if this polling is true, and we don't know if it is, I think it's probably, I mean, listen, like millions and millions of people, tens of millions of people are going to vote for Trump. And I think that is very scary. And that to me is where I'm like, all right, this is not just a Trump problem. Trump is a symptom. He is the most severe symptom right now, but we have a huge sickness in our country that I believe is going to be a generational fight. So this is not something that we will win if we win in November. It's not something that will be cured after November. Alfie, Keith, how do you think Kamala will do in the debate? I think she's going to do well, but I think that it's not leveled. The expectations are not leveled correctly because Donald Trump, everyone's just like, well, if he doesn't, like the expectations for Donald Trump are like, well, if as long as he doesn't say something racist, he won the debate. And Kamala Harris has to not only, it's the first time someone from her background will have been doing this. So there's the weight of the expectation of, there's like the stakes of all of that history and expectation that has like led up to this moment for her. But also she actually has to adequately describe her policy positions. She has to attack Trump, but not do it too much because she's a woman. It's just not fair. So it's completely unequal. Debates are overrated, but we just got through one where it actually mattered. I used to say that, so you never know. But I mean, again, like I do think there are a lot of people who are, quote, Kamala curious, and this debate is going to be great for them because they're going to finally get to meet her, and I think that'll be good for that. All right. Here's Nikki Haley just like.
You have endorsed Donald Trump. You spoke at the convention. But are you going to campaign for him?
You know, he knows I'm on standby. I talked to him back in June. He's aware that I'm ready if he ever needs me to do that. I think this election is important. I think that there's a lot at stake. I think we know basically what we're going to get because we've got two administrations asking to be reelected. And, I look at it from the standpoint of a voter. I worry about my kids. I worry about the fact that the cost of living is so high. Cost of goods is up 20%. I look at housing. I saw how hard it was for my daughter and her husband to buy a home and how the average home buyer in America is 49 years old. Mm-hmm. I look at immigration. I worry about safety. I worry about domestically foreign entities coming in and the threats that we could face. I worry about national security globally and what's happening with our allies around the world. And, you look at energy and the fact that, if we don't have a strong energy base, we're going to continue to have issues as well. And so there's just a lot going on. To me, the stark contrast between a Trump and Harris administration are what led me to say, yes, I need to, I'm going to be voting with Trump and I'm going to speak at the convention. And so that's what I did.
But you said you're on standby. In other words, you haven't been asked to campaign. Are you advising at all in his debate preparation or speaking to the campaign?
I'm not. And, that's his choice. He can, whatever he decides to do with his campaign, he can do that. But when I called him back in June, I told him I was supportive. I think the teams have talked to each other a little bit, but there hasn't been an ask as of yet. But, should he ask, I'm happy to be helpful.
What an idiot. What an idiot. Imagine the thing is like she told the truth in the winter. She said how she really felt at the end there. She stopped caring.
Let's speak some hard truths. If Donald Trump becomes the Republican nominee, we will get a President Kamala Harris. You mark my words. He cannot win a general election. Look at Iowa, look at New Hampshire. He can't get independents. He can't get suburban women. He's losing Republicans who say they don't want him and will vote for someone else. It's a problem. This is not personal for me. I have no problems with Donald Trump. I voted for him twice. I was proud to serve in his administration. This is about the fact America can't lose again. We lost in 2018, we lost in 2020, we lost in 2022. How many more times do we have to lose before we realize we have got to right this ship? And let's speak some hard.
So she knows. She knows that Trump does not have the temperament to be president. She knows that Trump is likely to lose. And she also knows that the election was not stolen. Let's be clear about that. And the podcast we're going to listen to in a little bit later is kind of like explains why her not being able to go there with the big lie means that she has no spot if Trump were to ever win. So she gave up so much legitimacy because I think there's a lot of goodwill from Democrats and Republicans and moderate independents who are like, all right, well, this person obviously is not going to win this primary, but she really could have built up a brand of like saying the truth and being on the side of Democrats, or not even Democrats, but just being on the side of democracy in America, because she knows that she knows that Trump is not fit to be president, but then she just did this. So she flushed. So I guess my point is like, if you were going to do this, this is why I don't think she's I think she's an idiot. If you're going to do this anyway, then why would you have pissed off the Trump people in the winter, saying all the things you said, sticking it out to Super Tuesday, being like a nail in his foot? I don't even know if that's an idiom or not. You could have just dropped out, endorsed, and just, I don't know, you could have been a MAGA queen. Instead, you pissed off everyone. Because now you're doing this, and everyone that was like, the Nikki Harris voters for Kamala, like there are so many people that were like, all right, I actually really like Nikki Haley because she's not like this. She even said, I mean, not her, Ron DeSantis said, like, everyone's going to kiss the ring. They're going to kiss the ring. And this is what happened. She ended up doing it anyway. And now everyone, like, I just don't get it. Like, she has played herself on all ends. Exactly. Dumpy is laughing his ass off because he's never going to work with her. Who's ever going to take her seriously on either side? Not my problem. Like, whatever. But just like, what an idiot. And I mean, obviously, like, so deeply, like, sad, like that we're at this place where, like, people like this who have worked their whole lives to get to this point are just so desperate for relevancy and for perceived power that they will throw away their credibility, for one, but also like potentially throwing away our country for authoritarianism just so you could what? I don't know, become the fucking Secretary of Energy? What a loser. speaking of losers.
Well, you heard from Liz Cheney, and obviously she's not alone among prominent Republicans that are supporting Kamala Harris or simply saying that Donald Trump is unfit for office. How do you square that record that you just talked about, which is obviously debatable and will be debated, with what happened at the end of the Trump presidency, where he did try to overturn a presidential election, tried to overturn a Democratic election?
I do think she actually is significantly in the minority here. You look across the board, prominent Republicans are supporting President Trump. But ultimately, I think she's a non-factor. I'm not trying to be rude, but you don't get to call yourself a conservative or a Republican when you support the most radical nominee that the Democrats have ever put up. That doesn't make you a conservative. It certainly doesn't make you a Republican. I think it makes you somebody who wants to protect the establishment. Frankly, I don't think this is.
So I just want you to pay attention to all these clips, because the podcast we're going to listen to ties it all together, because this is all, like, authoritarianism is already here. All right. It might not have taken power, but this is all signs that authoritarianism is already here. Dictatorship is blooming in America.
It should come as no shock that Liz Cheney is not supporting the president. But what should come as a shock is that she is trying to call herself a conservative Republican or either one of those two words while supporting somebody who so clearly does not represent conservative principles.
Well, on one.
All right. And then I just want to, let's just like, I have a palate cleanser. But let's talk about Sarah Huckabee Sanders, shall we? Because again, these are smart people that know what they're doing. And Liz Cheney, like, you can be a conservative and believe in all of the conservative policies, gods, guns, and whatever, and controlling women's bodies. But the thing that's supposed to tie us all together as Americans is to protect the Constitution and to uphold democratic principles. Both things Trump is unwilling, unable to do. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders, it is not about conservatism, is not about loyalty to one man. That is called dictatorship. Jesus, guns, babies, yeah. The Chris Show says, Liz Cheney will be remembered as one of the great leaders of our time. Seriously. Well, that's if we win. History is being written right now. I don't mean to freak you all out, but history will be written about this moment. And depending upon who wins in November is going to determine how this moment is looked on, and how January 6th is looked on. Donald Trump holds he keeps wanting to hold a January 6th award ceremony for the January 6th, for the people who are in prison for committing crimes on January 6th. Wait, we have a troll here. I want to see. What did he say? Oh, I missed it. Robert. Oh. Come on, debate me, any of you idiots. Well, Robert, I will say this. The difference between the people here watching this live stream and you is that when we lost, we admitted it, we learned from it, and we haven't lost since. And we most likely will not lose in November. Y'all are losers who are poor sports, yeah, and are not growing. And so we're not idiots. In fact, we actually are people who are able to look at something that happens and learn from it. But Robert, if you're feeling so great about Donald Trump for president, I recommend buying his stock, Trump Media, because if he wins, that shit's going to go all the way up. So put your money where your mouth is, buddy. Also, these people are so, like, they're just so angry. Like, you're so mad. Why are you so mad? Like, if you're winning, why are you so mad? Winning doesn't look like being mad. When you win the Super Bowl, or when you're about to win the Super Bowl, it's probably the most exciting moment in your life. So if you really feel like you're about to win this election, what's all the anger about? What's all the anger about? It's almost as if...
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Robert just fell out of a coconut tree. All right, let's get some blue hearts in the chat. Let's just drown out the hate. Let's drown out the hate with some blue hearts. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Well, that was fun. Nice to get a troll. It's good engagement. Are you ready? Are you ready to listen about autocracy in America? And again, if y'all think this is too boring, we can always stop. But I actually thought it was really interesting, and I think you're going to like it. So we'll listen to this. We can pause. If you have insights in the chat, I can pause and read them. And but yeah, you know, we are trying new stuff. You know, I've been live streaming not long. You know, I'm in other words, I'm new to the live stream, but I think this will be good. So let's listen. But I do think that the reason why, you know, there's what, almost 800 of you on this live stream. I do think this is so important for us to realize what's happening. And just so you have some background, Ann Applebaum, who is the host of this podcast, is an expert on authoritarians and authoritarian movements. So it's not like she's just, you know, she's thinking out loud. This is her life's work, okay? And her assessment is that authoritarianism is already taking root in America. So let's listen, because I think knowing, you have to know you have cancer in order to treat it. So let's listen and take in what the symptoms look like. Okay.
Peter, picture this. A harsh winter has finally come to an end. Exhausted and ragged, America's Revolutionary Army soldiers are huddled in tents. It's Valley Forge, it's 1778, and on a makeshift stage, a group of George Washington's officers are putting on a play. It's called Cato, a Tragedy.
So they put on togas in the middle of a war.
History does not record what costumes they wore, nor why exactly they were putting on a play at that particular moment. We do know it was one of Washington's favorite plays. It was very popular in colonial America. It tells the story of the end of the Roman Republic, a democracy in its time, which was destroyed by a dictator, Julius Caesar.
So basically, Washington and the founders, you know, their vision of the end of democracy was to be a dictator, taking the capital by storm and grabbing power.
Every generation has a vision of how democracy dies, and this was theirs.
I mean, today, when I'm in America, I hear a lot of references to the Nazis are coming, the fascists are coming.
You and I have both lived in countries that became more autocratic over time, meaning that the leader or the ruling party usurped more and more power, eliminating checks and balances. And we both know that this doesn't necessarily look like stormtroopers marching in the streets.
And it happens sort of slowly, almost imperceptibly, like mold eating away at a building. And it's these little things that actually show you that you're going in the wrong direction.
Things become even more dangerous when people are sick of the political conversation and just want it to end, and they want someone to come along and end it. I'm Anne Applebaum, a staff writer at The Atlantic.
I'm Peter Pomerantsev, a senior fellow at the SNF Agora Institute at Johns Hopkins University.
This is Autocracy in America.
In this podcast, we are not talking about some distant, dystopian, totalitarian state.
This is not a show about America's future, it's about the present.
There are authoritarian tactics already at work in America, eating away at the guardrails that prevent a leader from usurping power, and we're going to show you where.
Look at what we have already. Widening apathy, politicized investigations, the embrace of the strongman cult.
And in this episode, psychological corruption.
Psychological
Peter,
corruption.
when did you start to see things in the United States shift away from a democratic culture?
Look, it's a slightly personal issue for me. My parents were Soviet dissidents in Soviet Ukraine, where I was born. They were arrested by the KGB. We were exiled in the late 1970s. I was still a baby at the time. And after the fall of the USSR, I went and lived in Russia, in Moscow, from 2001 to 2010. That was the first 10 years of the Putin era. And in that time, I saw Russia degrade from a really rotten democracy to a really aggressive dictatorship. And I actually remember one moment quite clearly. This must have been still during the Obama era. I was visiting the US on holiday or for a work trip or something. And I suddenly found myself among groups of people who subscribed to this idea of birtherism, that Obama had not been born in America.
Exactly. And if he wasn't born in America, then he's not qualified to be president.
But it was the way they were talking about it. I mean, the evidence was not important to them. I mean, you could provide loads of evidence that Obama had been born in America. That wasn't the point. The way they were using this conspiracy was a kind of a real warning sign. This wasn't like, I don't know,
All right. So the first thing I want to talk about with that was that Obama, does anyone remember birtherism? Because what he's going to say is that this is the first time ever that, not the first time ever, but where facts did not matter. And it wasn't about whether or not it was real or not. It was about whether or not you believed the lie. Doesn't that sound like something else? So
you had to repeat absurd lies that people Putin was arresting were guilty of totally absurd charges. You had to agree that Nazis were taking over Ukraine. You know, that could be socially very awkward at first, and people could get quite aggressive, especially when they were drunk. And after a while, it just became dangerous, because if you disagreed with these absurd statements, with these conspiracy theories, then you were essentially an enemy of the state. And that would become incredibly dangerous.
When I first saw birtherism unfolding in the U.S., my first reaction was, no way is this happening here. Americans can't fall for this kind of garbage.
Why did you think Americans were immune, just out of interest?
Wrongly, I imagined our political system is too big and our democracy is too well anchored and people don't believe in conspiracy theories. And obviously, I was wrong.
You know, once you get into this world where truth is a subset of power, it basically means that you can't have democratic debate anymore.
All
right. If you guys don't like this, we can stop. I thought it was interesting. Jeez Louise. I thought it was interesting. I guess what I can do next time. Again, I am new to this, okay? So what I could do next time is just get out. I can get out the it's boring. Sorry. I can take out the excerpts. I can take out the excerpts. All right, I can do a poll, but I don't want to waste anyone's time. Okay. All right, we'll do a poll. Listen. Yeah, I think excerpts. Next time. Here, I want to play this one. I want to play this one part. All right. Well,
Europeans are familiar with the idea of ruling by conspiracy. But in contemporary America, this is new. And it's so new, in fact, that I'm not sure Americans realize the significance of it.
This is why
in May of 2021, Donald Trump
accused
accused me of deleting files from the...
All right, so they talked to the person in Maricopa County who oversaw the elections and who Donald Trump named, attacked by name. They interviewed him, and so that I thought it was really interesting.
2020 election, and that was... It's just hard to describe, but it's a little bit like the eye of Sauron, with that when it's turned on you, you feel it, and people start contacting you, and you get a lot of ugliness directed your way.
Stephen Richer is an election official in Maricopa County, Arizona. And this disorienting accusation began at first as something completely impossible for him to imagine: that the president knew his name and was releasing statements directed at his office.
Tonight, a bitter feud erupting among Arizona Republicans over an election audit of the state's most populous county.
Trump released a statement yesterday saying, quote, "The entire database of Maricopa County in Arizona has been deleted. This is illegal." And the Arizona State Senate, who is leading the forensic audit, is up in arms.
At first, it felt somewhat impossible for Richard to take this kind of accusation seriously. He knew it wasn't true. He could see all the files on the county computers every day he went to work. They hadn't disappeared at all.
In response, Republican recorder Stephen Richer sent out a tweet saying, quote, "Wow, this is unhinged.
I'm looking tabulation equipment to that production."
And were the attacks on you, what were they accusing you of doing?
Everything from rigging tabulation equipment to falsifying evidence to deleting electronic files to, turning my back on my people to not maintaining proper chain of custody.
And just like as an FYI, this is a Republican. This isn't a Democrat. This is a Republican.
The breadth is really breathtaking, and it's some of it is quite imaginative, and never in a million years would I have thought that somebody would have accused me of shredding ballots from the 2020 election, feeding them to chickens, and then burning the chickens to cover the evidence.
It's something right out of the sort of absurdist stories that you hear about politics in Eastern Europe, where the regime is using absolutely nonsensical charges against you, and their very absurdity shows that you're kind of powerless to fight back. Because how do you fight back against somebody accusing you of feeding chickens with election ballots?
Right. This was a kind of archetypic absurdist thing that happened in communist Poland.
So this is something I thought was really interesting too, is that I know that we see it grumpy. I know that we all laugh at the absurdity. And I think part of the job of the Democrats, and something we've been doing very well, is that I always thought we should laugh at the absurdity. That's why the weird attack has been so great. But the absurdity is the point, because absurdity is incredibly hard to defend from. When the accusation is absurd, any type of defense is equally absurd. So it becomes almost like the absurdity of the attack almost becomes more of a precise weapon than if you were to stay within the realm of reality. So it's a tactic that dictators use, and it's also when the defenders lift up the absurdist lie, it's a way of the dictator to know who's on their side, and it's a way of signaling to other authoritarians or other people who are pro-authoritarian that you're a part of the movement.
Communist Czechoslovakia, you would be accused of something ludicrous or ridiculous, and there would be no way to defend yourself, but the whole system would somehow take it incredibly seriously.
You can't actually fight back against absurdity. It's actually very, well, let me put it differently. It starts off funny.
Wait, see, I just explained that really well.
And then it becomes really creepy. I kind of always thought, just like you did with birtherism and with conspiracy theories, that in the US, false accusations would be quickly knocked down by the press, but just by the system that is, at the end of the day, grounded in some...
This is why I'm always railing at the press. Because the press truly is failing us in this moment. They're truly failing us in this moment because they meet the absurdity with the level of truth. And that should never be. And that is the reason why this has been able, I mean, it's not the main reason why, but it is one of the reasons why authoritarianism has been able to take root in our country, because the level of lie has been met with the level of truth.
Sort of rationality. Or at the very least, I kind of thought that somebody like Stephen Richer, who, well, let's put it very basically, is a white election official, not a particularly vulnerable member of society, that they would be able to defend themselves pretty easily against blatant lies. But that is not what was happening at all.
No, in Maricopa County, which is a completely ordinary part of America, we see not just accusations of fraud, but ridiculous accusations of fraud, and they were being taken seriously.
I remember vividly one of the meetings I went to in front of a group of about 50 grassroots activists in the Republican Party. And the first question they asked was, were the tabulation machines in 2020 connected to the internet? And we had just had 3 professional elections technologies companies come in and test that very thing, among other things. So I knew categorically, as sure as I possibly could, that the answer to that was no, but you could look into their faces and see that that was not going to go down well. And I said it, and then it turned into just a lot of shouting, a lot of obscenities, and then ultimately following me out to my car.
It got personal, and it got much worse from there.
A man from Missouri made a phone call telling me in no uncertain terms what he thought of me and what he was going to do, because I had said that President Trump's comments were unhinged regarding his allegations that I had deleted the files.
And do you think that the people who criticized you or attacked you, do you think they believed Trump, or were they, had they departed already from any idea of reality, or was it something they said for political reasons?
The politicians say it for political reasons.
Wow.
I think the people online
They
and a
know
lot
better.
of the people from the Republican grassroots of Arizona who email me really believe it. And it conforms to what they want to believe about the world, which is, I think, a real victimization right now and an explanation of how they lost in 2020 that isn't simply more Arizonans voted for Joe Biden, because I don't think they want to embrace that possibility, and it's incompatible with the world that they see around them when they go to Trump events and see Trump flags and their neighbors voted for Trump.
It appears to be official. Arizona's Attorney General has opened an investigation.
So that is what we're talking about here, is that that is like that small example is what authoritarianism looks like, is making up a lie. Everyone knows the lie is fake, but they support it because supporting the lie is a sign to other people in your movement that you're on their side, but then the people underneath who don't know any better believe it. It is very scary. So, all right. I had it and I lost it, but I'm going to find it to you again. I do have a palate cleanser. And I hope this is where I find it. Let me see. Oh, maybe it's here. And it's short, but yep, here it is. Okay. You ready?
Are you ready, Madam Vice President?
Ready. She's ready. She's ready.
Are you ready, Madam Vice President?
Ready.
Are you ready, Madam Vice President?
Ready.
So, I hope you all like that. I appreciate you all being here. You know, we're learning. I'm looking forward to Tuesday. I know things can be very serious, but we also do have, you know, it's exciting. I wish we could just be excited, but we also have to be incredibly scared. Tuesday is going to be wild. So I think what I'm going to do is a debate preview live stream, and then probably a live stream after the debate where we discuss. And we'll see. I think it's going to be good. But thanks for joining me on this hour. Hanging out. And, you know, the great thing about fighting for your community is it builds community. So thank you all for being here and being a part of this community. Nate Silver can, I hope this is the last election season we hear about Nate Silver. But I have to go and eat dinner. I appreciate you all being here. And I'll see you on YouTube. I'm going to do a video. All right? If you see the video, please like it and watch it. All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.